Live from the Scripps Studios, this is 10 News.
Article 2 is adopted.
And just like that, President Trump is now the third president in United States history to be impeached by the House of Representatives. Lawmakers on Capitol Hill cast their votes, for the most part, right along party lines.
The president saying tonight he's not worried. ABC's Serena Marshall is on Capitol Hill with a historic vote.
Article 1 is adopted.
President Donald J. Trump has officially been impeached while in office. Just the third in American history. The president impeached on 2 articles: for abusing the power of his office for personal gain when he pressured the leader of Ukraine to investigate his political opponents, and obstructing Congress after he blocked documents and witnesses with direct knowledge of what occurred with Ukraine from being provided to the House committees.
And so I view this vote, as something that we did to honor the vision of our founders.
The vote followed the 6 hours of debate on the House floor, which had nearly every member of Congress speaking out for.
When you see something that is not right, not just, not fair, you have a moral obligation to say something, to do something.
And against the impeachment.
Democrats would rather trip the president just to see him stumble than see America succeed.
Well, both sides held their party lines. One member, Justin Amash, a Republican turned independent, voting with the Democrats.
His actions reflect precisely the type of conduct the framers of the Constitution intended to remedy through the power of impeachment.
Well, another, the only presidential candidate that could cast a vote, Tulsi Gabbard, voting present. Moments before the vote was set to begin, the president taking to the stage in Michigan, setting up an astounding split screen with a remarkably different tone.
It doesn't really feel like we're being impeached. They have nothing. They're the ones that should be impeached, every one of them.
While President Trump has now officially been impeached, his removal and conviction is up to the Senate. It's unclear what that trial will look like and whether or not there'll be witnesses, as the president has said he would like to see happen. That decision left to the minority and majority leaders, who are expected to sit down sometime tomorrow. Serena Marshall, ABC News, Capitol Hill.
And local lawmakers are reacting to the president's impeachment. Former Republican Congressman Darrell Issa, who is running for the 50th district, released this statement today, saying, quote, "The Democrats' shameless impeachment sham is 3 years in the making. The damage they've inflicted will be felt for generations. It's more important than ever to stand against their radical socialist agenda and fight for the future of our country."
Democratic Congresswoman Susan Davis released this statement on her vote to impeach the president. It says, quote, "Make no mistake, we are not impeaching the president. He is impeaching himself. If you are the president and you obstruct justice, try to bribe a foreign leader and threaten national security, you're going to get impeached. End of story," end quote.
And today's vote sets the stage for an impeachment trial, which comes up next month. Here's how that will work. The senators will sit as jurors, House lawmakers will serve as prosecutors, and the Chief Justice will preside over it. 2/3 of senators would have to vote to convict President Trump, to remove him from office. The Senate consists of 53 Republicans, 45 Democrats, and 2 independents, meaning the president is highly unlikely to be removed from office.
So you've heard tonight, President Trump is now the third U.S. president to ever be impeached by the House of Representatives. The last one was President Clinton back in 1998. He was charged with lying under oath and obstruction of justice. Well, the first president impeached was Andrew Johnson in 1868 on 11 separate articles. Both Johnson and Clinton were acquitted in the Senate, and most experts say the same thing will happen to President Trump. But the impeached president's only President Trump is now seeking re-election. And we have everything you need to know on the impeachment on our 10 News mobile app, including why Nancy Pelosi may wait to send the impeachment to the Senate. You can download our 10 News mobile app. It's free. It's available in the App Store. Just search 10 News.
Also tonight, a tense standoff right in front of a grocery store in Oceanside. Police swarmed a motorhome park outside the Albertsons on Marin Road. Our 10 News reporter Anthony Perot is in Oceanside, where police used a K9 to finally end the deadlock with those suspects.
Police said they tried several times to get the suspects out of this RV. They tried for nearly an hour, but when the suspects refused to come out, they had to go in. The end to an hour-long standoff with police. A man in handcuffs was led away. A second suspect, a woman, was treated for injuries after the takedown.
We gave them ample opportunity to surrender, and they didn't give up.
This motorhome was reported stolen Monday from San Diego. Wednesday night, officers spotted it in the parking lot of an Albertsons in Oceanside. Police say they saw movement inside, so they got on the bullhorn and repeatedly told the suspects, a man and a woman, to come out. A chopper and a Bearcat were called in, and finally officers decided to finally go in and get them.
Motorhomes they're a little bit higher than we are, so they got a little bit of elevation. You know, we're going to work behind whatever cover we can come up with.
Police say they used pepper balls and canines. The canine bit the female suspect on the arm. They pulled him out of the RV, ending the standoff.
They didn't have much expression at all, which is kind of shocking, seeing as there's like 20 police officers out here and we're using bullhorns to try to get them out. So straight disregard for society, in my opinion.
Police searched the motorhome. They say they didn't find weapons or drugs or anything illegal. In Oceanside, Anthony Pura, 10 News.
A Marine wife at Camp Pendleton was arrested after investigators say she had sex with the 15-year-old foreign exchange student staying in her home. 22-year-old Nicole Wilson was arraigned in federal court this week. She pleaded not guilty. The teenager reported the alleged encounter to NCIS, saying Wilson had sex with him in September, even though he said no.
12 years after their father was killed, a La Mesa family is getting closure. Police say back in June of 2006, Zachary Bunny went into 47-year-old Scott Martinez's apartment and used a sword to stab him 30 times. For 12 years, he evaded police, and the case went cold. In January, police linked DNA left at the scene to Bunny. A relative of Bunny's was registered on a public genealogy database, and that's how investigators tracked him down. By November, Bunny pleaded guilty to voluntary manslaughter and now faces 12 years in state prison.
The amount of years that he was on the run, and this is the amount of years he's going to be given as a sentence, it was a sign and I had to take it.
Martinez's daughter told 10 News that she is grateful and couldn't ask for a better Christmas gift.
Loved ones remembered 65-year-old Ming Tron today. Tron was killed last night in a tragic hit and run in Oceanside. He didn't do anything wrong. Well, Tron was killed after leaving work and walking home with his wife. Investigators say they were in a crosswalk at Mission Avenue in Douglas when a truck ran a red light. The truck hit another vehicle and then hit Tron, dragging him down the street and killing him. Friends and co-workers gathered at the site where he lost his life to honor his memory and pray.
All of us come here to pour the support to his wife and his daughter.
The driver left the scene but was tracked down and arrested. He was identified as 27-year-old Wesley Stewart. He is now facing charges of felony vehicular manslaughter, DUI, and felony hit and run.
All right, winter does not officially begin until this weekend, but we are already experiencing another cold December night. Jen De La Cruz is tracking those low temperatures tonight.
Low temperatures tonight, and they will be sticking around for tomorrow morning as well. So keep that in mind before you leave for the morning commute. Grab an extra jacket because you're going to want it. For tonight, dropping down to about 40 degrees in Oceanside. A lot of 40s on the board here, but as we move farther east in East County, Ramona 37 tonight and 30s for our higher elevations in our mountains. Hour by hour on the coast, temperatures will still be in the 40s. Through the 7 o'clock hour, we will see mostly sunny skies. We're still not going to be warming up a whole lot. Temperatures topping out in the 60s for tomorrow. I'm tracking when the 70s return and another round of rain coming up in your 7-day forecast.
All right, Jen, thank you. Breaking news out of Point Loma Heights, where a 3-car crash has happened in the front yard of a house. This is in the 2200 block of Worden Street. Our photojournalist Paul Anderegg is live in our 10 News Breaking News Tracker. So, Paul, we hear that one driver had to be pulled from their car.
Yeah, that victim is in the back of the ambulance. This red car you see here was actually parked facing the opposite direction here, right in front of this house. It was hit by a very large impact by this white car, knocked it out into the street. That driver was in that white car. Here's the driver right now being transported to the hospital. They're going to be evaluating to see if that driver is drunk. But you can see the damage to the car here. Fortunately, the woman was reported trapped, but was not actually trapped. We talked to the owner of this house here. He says this is the third time in the last 15 years that a car has come through his yard here and done damage. You can see it's taken out a tree. Fortunately, though, It did not hit baby Jesus. We'll show you the nativity scene here. That's safe. The family's very glad that car stopped the white car from coming through. That parked car stopped it from going all the way into their house.
Amazing scene out there, Paul. Thank you. A vote by the San Diego City Council yesterday unlocked the potential for thousands of affordable housing units to be built in the next decade, all without any public subsidies. 10 News reporter Matt Boone spoke to the pastor of a church that had been pushing for this change, and now he can move forward with a project of his own.
Yeah, this is the corner of the Lutheran Church parking lot here in Claremont that they want to transform into 12 to 18 affordable housing units. Now, after yesterday's vote in the City Council, that plan is looking much more feasible.
If you count up 10 spaces, that gets you to about the middle of the garage there.
Pastor John Doolittle says they only need to use up 20 parking spaces, which go unused most of the time anyway.
During the week, it's not full at all.
That was the origin of the idea. That part of their parking lot would be much more effectively used as housing for people, not cars.
It would be studios, 1 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms.
But they'd been held up by city regulations that required 1 parking space for every 5 feet of pew space, as well as a drawn-out and expensive rezoning process. At Tuesday's City Council meeting, the parking restrictions were eased and the permit process streamlined, making such projects in church parking lots much more affordable.
Our goal is to build affordable housing on surplus church property.
Tom Tyson has been a driving force behind the change, working with the group YIGBY.
YIGBY is yes in God's backyard.
The revised ordinance, he says, now opens up hundreds of church parking lots in San Diego to development.
We're looking to do this in 5 or 6 years because we can put these things up pretty quickly.
He says his group already has 1 project set to open by the end of